Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our bottom left-hand side of the Walrus from DuSt. He is our diamond level Terran, and his opponent on the top right-hand side is Barcode, the legendary Zerg. He's just some Barcode. I don't know. He is also a diamond level Zerg. We're on Deadwing. Huge map if you've heard of it. You've heard of it. Destructible locks reading down to the third. You have your natural here. Huge open pathway to your other potential third, but it's much farther away than the other one by air. I don't know. It's a nice map. It's very pretty. A lot of green. But this map is absolutely massive, and it's very symmetrical. So if you get into a macro war, it's pretty easy to divide it down any quarters of the map. So I mean, you can take left side, he can take right, he can take top, you can take bottom. It's really easy to kind of trap yourself into a macro style play because the natural choke is so small. And then you also have this moderate choke right here. There's no elevation change, so that kind of sucks. But the third is much easier to take and hold because you then have the elevation change here, leading off down into the main portion of the map. Very unique, very cool kind of map. Don't see a lot of unique openings, and I'll open the production tab for you just because I like to have that open, because we don't see anything on the production tab that's weird or funky. We do see the barracks before the refinery. Probably means a Reaper opening coming out from the Walrus. I'm not 100% sure. Only time will tell. Regardless, he's getting that early gas, so he's going to be spending that gas on something. We don't see an early CC coming out from the Walrus anytime soon. However, we do just now see the spawning pool come down, so we'll pool first. 15, probably a 15 hatch too for Barcode, but time will tell. Keep an eye out for the early Vespene Geysers. We do see a drone coming out with the double scouting overlords. It's probable that this guy's destined for a hatchery, and he is. Look at that, 300 minerals down the drain for that hatchery. Like I said, it's almost prophetic. It's like I've seen this before. I'm not gonna lie, I might have seen Terran versus Zerg before. I might have seen this opening before. It kind of gets old. But hey, early refinery being fully saturated, we do see that Reaper coming out, so that's going to be fantastic. Like I said, you have these destructible debris over here, but the Reaper can pop and then pop again to get right up into the main very quickly. And you know, it's very powerful being able to see exactly what's going on, see that there's no early gas being taken for our Zerg buddy, so he's not going to suspect some sort of all that. He's not going to suspect some sort of Baneling nest, so it's nice. It's really nice. It definitely pays for its weight in gold. And then that early gas usually transitions very smoothly into some other build. You know, you get the factory out, you get that early drop pressure, maybe, a reactor, maybe even some Helbin harassment. Usually whenever I see a reactor this early, we see a factory immediately behind there. Get some Hellions out there. Deadwing is a very wide open map. There's a lot of dead area, meaning that there's no bases nearby. There's not a lot of elevation changes. Yeah, you have this small little doodads pretty much in the middle of the map, but that means Hellions are so very powerful because you can kite all the live long day. Once you get up into the actual main base, it's not really that good, but as far as map control goes, Hellions super powerful, and it looks like Barcode knows about this. Double tapping the gas, also getting a Roach Warren out. This is a defensive Roach Warren. This tells me that Barcode wants to get a third out more than anything else, which is super good. But the roaches are strictly there to combat the Hellions. He knows that this map is super wide open, specifically once you get down into the third, either one that you choose, probably this one, let's be honest, this is the good one. But once you get down here, you'll need some way to defend against the Hellion run by, and then that is definitely the roaches. The roaches are so very robust against that, even with the Reaper coming in here, going to be scouting out, seeing absolutely not everything. Did he see? No, he didn't see. Did he see? No, he did not see. Didn't see the Roach Warren. He did see the first geyser, probably tapped it, saw that there wasn't too much being taken, so he could probably gather from that there's no early speed. However, it surprises me that he didn't swing up north. Did he end up losing that Reaper? He did not, so he'll be able to get in there eventually and see exactly what's going on. No early geysers down here in the natural tells him that a Spire transition is probably not very likely, but it's still very early, only the 6-minute mark. We do see that layer coming down, so keep an eye out for that. There goes that factory that I was talking about, already going to town with that reactor, seeing those Hellions coming out. This is so very good for the Walrus. This will allow him to get some map control, really control exactly what's going on, push out, take that early third for himself, and secure an economic edge. Conversely, we see that the Roach Warren is done. Do we have any roaches out on the field yet? No, we do not. And the creep spread's also kind of lackluster. coming from Barcode, but he is working on those double Evo chambers, so he will inevitably be prepared for the Hellions that are coming out here, but hasn't even suicided in an Overlord yet. Both players are playing relatively blind, even though that Reaper is out on the field. The Walrus doesn't really know what's going on, and then Barcode's totally in the dark, has absolutely nothing, no idea of what's going on with the opponent, except he saw a single Reaper, which tells him that he got early gas, as well as the fact that the natural has been taken, and is aware that there's no gas being tapped, I think, yeah, because he moved his Overlord in and then swung it down to the south. I think it came in from the north and then swung over here past the mineral field. So he saw that there was no early gas being taken. I'm not 100% sure on the timing of that Overlord. It could have been that it came by too early, and maybe he just needs to poke his head back in. 1-1 on the production tab, as low as the glial reconstitution, so those roaches are going to be very, very fast. Starting up on that creep spread. Oh, that Reaper, the Reaper does go down before making his way back into the main, and yes, there goes the scan. See the lair, see the roach worn out, so he's going to know that his Hellions are probably not going to be the most effective thing in the world as far as run by goes, but look at this defensive posture from Walrus, already having the siege tank out on the field, another one being produced. Widow Mines also, this heavy mech style is so very tanky, so very difficult for Barcode to actually be able to break, so Barcode is going to have to take his third, and that's exactly what he does. He's not going to be able to do some sort of all-in. There's no Baneling Nest on the field. We both know that there's no hope for Barcode to actually do some sort of all-in, but the Walrus is going to be able to get an inkling that that's exactly what's going on. Tunneling Claws on the production tab, as well as the Burrow. Burrow is great just because it increases the longevity of the roaches. Obviously, they're going to be able to regenerate very quickly, but Tunneling Claws can really be an element of surprise sort of play. However, I don't know. I expect the Walrus to throw down a missile turret as time goes on. He saw that the lair was already being produced. Eventually, he's going to get an idea that there's some sort of shenanigans on the play, and so he could probably suspect a Spire play. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. This is totally rebuffed, though. Like I said, those roaches having absolutely no problem dealing with those Hellions. And in fact, the critical number of roaches is quickly spiraling out of control. He's almost going to have a whole page of roaches in a second. And with that 1-1 being done, Burrow's done, Tunneling Claws is done, he's going to be looking to be aggressive. Probably whenever the third is going to be coming out from the Walrus. Has he bothered to produce another CC? Yes, he did. Okay, so we have the third CC already constructed for the Walrus. It's not an orbital command just yet, but that tells me that he's looking to expand. Probably in the next couple of minutes. With the robustness of this wall, I would almost expect him to take down these debris and transfer up to the north, but I'm not 100% sure. Even doing the ballsy thing and scouting around with the barracks because he knows he's going mech. It's all good. It's all good. 2 more gas being tapped. Very gas heavy build. What is he going to do? Okay, Hydralisk Den is on the production tab with these upgrades. As I was thinking he was going to transition into Hydras, but I honestly didn't see the Hydralisk Den being constructed. So a Roach Hydra sort of play. Very, very powerful. Even really good against mech because it kind of matches. I don't know. How do I explain this? The roaches and the hydras are robust enough to go toe-to-toe with all the Hellions and the Hellbats that you can throw at them. And the roaches are sturdy enough to actually deal with the siege tanks, and the hydras can get on top of them. Like, they're both fast units that are fast enough to outposition the Terran mech. Obviously they have a very hard time whenever the siege tanks can get into siege mode, but people constantly underestimate the speed that roaches with reconstitution and the muscular augments for the hydras can afford a Zerg player. So even with adequate creep spread, he's not going to have the creep support whenever he comes over here into the third, but the Tunneling Claws will definitely give Barcode an advantage whenever choosing what sort of engagement he wants with the Walrus. So even though this composition usually isn't the best one in the world to deal with mech, in a straight-on engagement with superior positioning, Barcode will have no problem at all dealing a heavy blow to the Walrus. The Walrus really is not looking to expand, though. I mean, he's got his third back at home, is just sitting nice and tight. He's really not making any motions like he wants to take that third, which is really, really weird. What is he waiting for exactly? What sort of upgrades are we dealing with here? I mean, he's got 0-0. He's got +1 on the way. Tunneling Claws also for the Widow Mines. I honestly don't know what that's called. Drilling Claws. Fine, whatever. But 2-2 is almost done for the Zerg player, so look for him to be aggressive. But I'm not sure how aggressive he could possibly be. I mean, look at this wall. Look at all these siege tanks. Even with the back door being secured by the debris, these siege tanks are well within firing range of that. So there is really not a lot he can do. And have I missed anything? 700 resources lost. So I guess he lost all of his all of his Hellions a little while ago, but obviously they didn't accomplish much because every base is still there. The third and the fourth, or fourth and the fifth, pardon me, is being taken, and now the siege tanks make themselves aware. Look at all these widow mines. Oh my goodness, the Walrus just wants Barcode to push in there, but if they do, all those Hydras are going to get popped like an absolute cherry. From all those siege tanks, and then the roaches are just not going to be able to squeeze in and actually do enough damage before being chewed apart by the plethora of widow mines, the siege tanks, even the Thors that are in position to deal with them. And Barcode knows it. He's choosing a good idea. Fall back. You've got a macro edge like no one else's business. Your fourth and fifth are being taken right now. Natural main's starting to get mined out, but you know that if your main's starting to get mined out, his main is probably going to starting to get mined out too, especially with the orbital commands affording him superior macro on the mineral side of things. Man. But I guess with that first rebuff of Barcode's aggression, the Walrus is looking to take his third, which is awesome. Look at this, man. This is a rock solid defense. And how do you break this? I think the Barcode is struggling too, because he's getting down an Ultralisk Cavern. He's also getting a Spire being constructed. Ultras are absolutely fantastic as far as getting on top of siege tanks. They can absorb a lot of damage, get really close. Man, but I don't know. What we've seen from the construction of the Walrus back here, these buildings can really screw with your Ultralisks. They try desperately to get to the siege tanks, get to the units that are actually doing the damage, and they kind of struggle at taking down all of these buildings. So if the Walrus commits to this kind of turtle style gameplay, the Ultralisks are probably not going to be the best bet of actually doing damage. I would actually say the Mutalisks are probably the harassment unit that you want, because anti-air here is really lackluster. We see a single Viking and a single Thor. Not going to be enough to actually hold and check a massive ball of Mutalisks. Only 40 supply available though, 30 supply for Barcode, so they're not going to be the most heavy Muta switch you could possibly imagine, but I wonder if he even throws this away and goes for a heavy tech switch. I don't know. Ultralisks would work with the composition he currently has. Mutalisks would not work with the composition that he currently has, so I don't know what the right answer is. I'm curious to see what Barcode does. Swarm Host is another possibility, but I think he's just getting that upgrade just to get that upgrade. Again, it doesn't really work very well with all the roaches. It definitely works very well with the Hydralisks. You can have this really cute back and forth kind of tug of war battle. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Curious. And what's also curious is the Walrus has not done any sort of drop play at all. He does have a handful of starports back at home, but they are just mass producing Vikings, not even an add-on on them at all. Single Raven coming out, that's going to be absolutely very, very handy. Look at these sensor towers going up too. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely absurd. 60 over 74 harvesters, even though it's 5 bases to 3. Fourth base being taken right now by just a CC, not even an orbital command. Another CC aggressively positioned. I wonder if that's going to be a planetary fortress. Yeah, it's going to be a planetary fortress. I mean, it can't be an orbital. That's a terrible position for an orbital. But we don't see anything on the production dev, just upgrades across the board. A couple Hellions, a couple Vikings, the Terran War Machine quickly reaching critical mass. I wonder if the Walrus is going to be moving out once he gets to 200 supply, because he's quickly approaching his perfect unit composition. I mean, there's going to come a point where he can't wait for anything else. He might wait longer if he wants upgrades, but I don't know if Barcode's going to afford him that opportunity. 200 supply for Barcode. He knows that this is a fantastic army. This is very, very powerful. One of the things he's missing is creep. However, like I said, Deadwing is so absolutely massive that he can wait for another 20 minutes, and creep spread is still not going to be all the way over to the Walrus's front door, and the front door is well guarded. Look at this, an orbital command, a planetary fortress being made with a widow mine factory, just a widow minefield all over the place right here. Obviously, he's a little bit weak to a northern excursion. I wonder if he's even going to drop down these blocks, but this is something that I would do on the campaign. This is something that I would build just for fun and to see how long I can hold myself against the incoming torrent of enemies. Oh man. But you know what? Barcode is just saving up a massive bank. He's being very wise and getting as many upgrades as he possibly can, even building a second spire. He's just going to open up every tech pathway he can possibly build, and then this army is not going to survive his initial push. He's going to push in there, he's going to throw away his army, but he's also going to take out a massive chunk of his opponent's army, and then he's going to see what's left and then choose from there. Do I go mutas? do I rebuild and remax with a bunch of roaches? What exactly is he vulnerable to? He's going to see a lot of Vikings. Nothing's going to be taking down those Vikings except for the Hydras, which are going to have more important things to worry about. So I don't know. I do not know. And I also find it weird that he hasn't used his tunneling claws at all. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult for him to use those tunneling claws. Can't really sneak in the back door. There's plenty of detection there. Can't really sneak in the front door. It's a doomsday complex. Look at this thing. Holy shit. So many barracks. And like I said, this is just going to make it very difficult for the Ultralisks to actually get in and get on top and start doing the AoE damage to the siege tank line that really is just going to allow them, their maximum DPS. Oh, that's another thing, is that the upgrades for the Ultralisks really doesn't benefit from the upgrades that the Roaches and the Hydras have gotten. He's on +0 melee, whereas he's at 3/3 for the Roaches and the Hydras. He is getting the metabolic boost. He is getting the air carapace as well as the air flyer upgrade number 2. Is that 2? No, that's 1, and that's 2. Okay, excellent. So whenever he chooses to switch over to air, if he chooses to switch over to air, it's going to be very, very powerful. But man, this is such a difficult spot for Barcode, because on the one hand, your opponent's getting mined out. You know that the main is pretty much completely mined out. Natural's probably getting there. Oh man, the debris field in the back is going to be cut down. However, I wonder if the Walrus knows. Okay, there goes the scan, and it's because of the sensor towers. He does have a lot of sensor towers. Where's this one? It's got to be somewhere in the center here, right? Whatever. He's got sensor towers all over the place. Oh, here it is, next to the refinery. And that sensor tower allows him to see, if there is an opponent in the area. Those little red dots on the mini-map more than anything else. A little Hellion run by, very, very cute. Gets cut down pretty quickly. Not much you can do to stop the Zerg economy. 71 harvesters is pretty much picture perfect. No matter how many bases you have. In fact, with such a massive mineral bank right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see Barcode switch over to a more heavy gas style, like just getting these what are they called, extractors. Thank you. Extractors only saturated, and then just leave the mineral income as it is, because you only need 1 or 2, maybe 3 bases on mineral income. Everything else, gas heavy style builds just require a shit ton of gas. And so, I wouldn't be surprised to see Barcode working on the gas. You can get a heavy influx of minerals at any time, but the gas is a little bit harder to get. And as games go on, I usually see them to be gas starved. So it's not abnormal for somebody to be on 3 base economy when it comes to minerals, but 5 or 6 bases whenever it comes to gas income. Planetary Fortress does go down. The majority of the forces from Walrus caught out of position. However, it looks like Barcode has to pull back. I don't know if that was the right decision. Obviously, now the siege tanks are in position, but there were only 3 siege tanks here. If the Walrus, if Barcode could have managed to swing in here with his Ultralisks, he could have opened up this door and actually, got in on top of the siege tank line, and those Ultralisks only need a handful of seconds to actually do damage there. It looks like a single Viper is going to be running in here, suicide mission, just to see exactly where the opponent's army is. And when Barcode sees that, he's just skirting the line right here. He's just skirting around that that little sensor tower field, and making it so that DuSt doesn't really know where the opponent's army is. Walrus has got to be feeling a little bit nervous, and it looks like Barcode's going to go for a sneaky 2-pronged attack. Going to be moving in here, take the Zelnaga watchtower. So now the Walrus is going to think that the main army is here. Does a scan just to see exactly where, what is here, and it's going to be suspiciously small. However, another scan over here on the south side. Why? How did he know that there was something there? That was outside the range of that, but maybe he just suspected. He suspected because he saw that the majority of the army was missing. He did see a small portion of the army there. Is going to take down the debris field. However, plenty of siege tanks are within the range, and it looks like those Hydras get absolutely cut down. Now we have a huge portion of supply not being eaten up by anything. So if Barcode wants to switch up to something else, now is the opportunity. And Walrus has given him the opportunity. He's got a lot of money right now. The upgrades are almost done for everything. I wonder what he wants to remax on, and I think he's wondering that too, because he hasn't constructed anything right now. Maybe he wants to bait the Walrus out. I don't know, but those Ultralisks once again being rebuffed. So let's look at what the Walrus has working with him. The main completely mined out. Natural pretty much mined out completely. Actually, he's pulled away many of his units so that if the worst happens and he has to fall back, then he will be able to. Not really saturated at his third. Fourth is pretty fully saturated, but again, it's pretty spread out. And it looks like that fifth is the one that is the main moneymaker right now. Yamato cannon on the way. Oh, what's that called? Weapons refit? That's stupid. It's the Yamato cannon. Yamato cannon on the way. A lot of Vikings on the field right now. Walrus really hasn't suffered many losses at all. I mean, the resources lost, it is pretty heavy, but remember the majority of those resources were just units, just buildings, like, you know, the planetary fortress, a couple of the barracks. These ultras are just getting thrown away because I think the weapon change up, the unit composition is going to be changed up in just a couple of seconds. I don't think he's going to reinvest in a bunch of those ultralisks right now. Oh, what is this? A little run by? A little run by of Hydras, unfortunately way too delicate without being supported by their roaches. And it looks like with a planetary fortress there guarding the back door, no problem at all for him to actually clean that up. But again, I think that this is strictly so that he can remax on something else. And it looks like this is what he's remaxing on. 56 Mutalisks on the production tab. Oh my goodness. That is huge. And you know, you're absolutely right, individual who is watching this game. There's a lot of missile turrets spread around the map right now, but they're not nearly as hardy as the siege tank lines that we've been seeing. Those siege tank lines are very central. They can be positioned to support each other. However, the missile turrets can be picked off 1, 2, maybe 3 at a time. And yes, there's a lot of Vikings on the field, but there's not 56 mutas worth of Vikings, and that's a lot of mutas right now. Absolutely a massive amount. And with 3-2 on the field, plus 3 coming out in just a couple of seconds. I hear a lot of scans. I don't see any. Okay, over here, just kind of a blanket scan to see what exactly is happening. He's probably very curious about what unit composition is going to be coming in a couple of seconds. He might be able to see in just a couple of seconds too. Oh, and this was actually the reason for the scans, I bet. It was a bunch of those drops coming out, all heavily laden with Widow Mines. However, they all go down before any of them can fire. If even 2 of those had fired into this build, that would have been absolutely brutal. Yeah, and I think Barcode knows that he dodged a bullet there, because even with the tunneling claws being constructed on those Widow Mines, you know, they burrow so very, very quickly. And if those Overseers weren't there to support those Mutalisks, that would have been absolutely brutal. So the Mutalisks do swing in here. I would show you Barcode, or I would show you health codes, but unfortunately that would just make this way too garbled to look at. And it looks like he's going to town on the static defenses first. I would caution Barcode to actually focus on a specific area at a specific time. You know, lock down this third and then move on from there. Unfortunately, he's you know, being baited by all of the static defenses. Okay, he's finally turning on to the CC. He's going to be taking out all 3 of the CCs that are in this area. And surprisingly, the Walrus is not taking this opportunity to move out and actually be aggressive anywhere else on the map. He's sitting back, relaxing behind his static defenses elsewhere, but there's not a lot of Vikings in the area, and these Mutalisks are going to have a heyday. Yeah, he's producing a lot of Ravens, but those Ravens, unless the Hunter-Seeker missiles actually hit, even their portable turrets aren't enough to hold back this magnitude of Mutalisks. This is a great play by Barcode. Much more successful than I thought he was going to be with it. He needs to keep his Mutalisks together, and he has to be very, very careful not to overstep his detection, because a handful of Widow Mines, we've seen that there's a lot of Widow Mines in the area. He keeps getting kited by all of these static detection. Oh no, the Hunter-Seeker missile's coming in. Oh, what an explosion. Look at all that orange now. But it's going to take more than that just to bring down this massive flock of Mutalisks. Again, Barcode is being baited by all of the static defenses. He really needs to stop that. He needs to start dealing with the economy. He sees his bank and maybe assumes that the Terran player has that big of a bank too. Nice magic box on top of the Thors. Oh, but brutal Widow Mine hits. Oh my goodness. However, with a bank of this size, 43 Mutalisks are being produced just instantly. So even though Barcode did lose the majority of his flock, he can remax like no one else's business. He's got enough for another 70, almost 100 Mutalisks that can be produced at any time. But oh, he keeps getting hit by those Widow Mines, keep getting hit by the Hunter-Seeker missiles. He's going to run out of Mutalisks very, very quickly. However, I think he's broken the back of the giant. He's definitely taken down at least 2 of the bases, and the static defenses that were such a thorn in his side, he's going to be able to take down no problem at all. I would love to see him support these Mutalisks now with a bunch of Zerglings. With this main gateway going down, oh man, the Walrus sneaking in just a handful of Widow Mine shots every couple of seconds. Regardless, I mean, 100 supply tells you that the Walrus is kind of strapped for cash. Yes, he's got a bank of almost 2,000. However, even, his economy, his infrastructure back at home wasn't constructed in order to remax very, very quickly. And especially the remax he designed for was Thors, was siege tanks, was Hellions. It was not Widow Mines, it was not Vikings, it was not Ravens. The stuff that is actually going to combat these Mutalisks. His infrastructure is not in place to actually combat these Mutalisks. So the Walrus is in a bad position right now. He does have a bit of a bank, but he's burned through the vast majority of it. Not even 100 supply right now. So I do not understand why the Barcode is not moving with his Mutalisks right now. He needs to get in there, get on top of this infrastructure. Yeah, these CCs are important, but I would much rather see him move off into the main, sit on top of those factories, and make sure that nothing comes out of it that can shoot up. Because right now he's got his opponent in the chokehold. There's no run bys. There's no danger of a base race at all. So just go in and force the engagement. And oh no, there's no detection. Great mother of God. What the hell? Oh, so brutal. So brutal. There goes the detection. Now we're actually going to be seeing those Widow Mines are going to be picked off by those Mutalisks, but good lord, the damage is done. Only 20 mutas on the field right now, 11 more in the production tab. So again, Barcodes can just continually remax. Oh, but that was absolutely brutal. What a shot. And the Walrus only needs to have that happen a handful more times. Barcode is going to be retreating for the time being, which I do not agree with, unless he saw a drop that I missed. No, he's just going to be waiting for the handful more Mutalisks that are going to be popping out. Just a couple of seconds. Oh, that is absolutely brutal, and really, again, cannot overstep the bounds of his Overseers, because if he moves in somewhere and finds an encampment without a Overseer, and there's some Widow Mines there, he's just going to have a repeat of the that engagement that we saw just a couple of seconds ago. All this time, though, Ravens are being produced. A handful of Ravens back at home. How's their energy? Yeah, their energy is pretty good. Probably enough to get off 1 or 2 Seeker missiles. I see several almost at 100. So those Seeker missiles are going to be devastating. And oh no, the Widow Mines once again trying to get off a pot shop. Two of them do go out. 2 of them probably scoring a handful of kills on those Mutalisks. However, even more over on the left side. Where are the Hunter Seeker missiles? Here they come. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's okay though. I mean, he's still got a massive bank. He's got a massive bank. But man, goodness, every time he remaxes, he goes down, 3, maybe 2,000 minerals and gas. And yeah, you're absolutely right. 40 Mutalisks, that's a lot of Mutalisks. However, every time he's losing them, he's only losing them to like 6 or 7, maybe 8 Widow Mines on the ground and a handful of Ravens up in the air. Cost effectively speaking, the Walrus is going to be worlds ahead, and we can see that he's ahead by around 30% over Barcode right now. So it's pretty brutal. It's definitely pretty brutal. But again, Barcode has massive economic advantage right now. He's got so many different bases, all of them harvesting from many different locations. Gas is beginning to get mined out, but that's okay because he's got other bases that can be fully saturated at the drop of a hat, and is just continually churning out. Oh man, I missed another massive volley, probably of Hunter Seeker missiles, maybe of those Widow Mines. I'm not sure. I can feel my voice going right now. It's been 40 minutes. Oh man, how long is this game? I don't know. I honestly don't know. 180 supply over 90. I feel like this is going to be a slow and agonizing death for the Walrus. As long as he's being cost effective, oh my goodness, when did this happen? Oh, because 30 more Mutalisks are being produced. But there goes all of the bank. All of a sudden, Barcode cannot produce any more Mutalisks, or he can't produce any more Mutalisks in the size and the volley and the swells that he's been producing them so far. So now he's going to have to be much more cost effective. There goes the Hunter Seeker missiles, not running away at the best angle. However, he does succeed in getting far enough away. Oh no. That's okay. We have another flight over here. Barcode, he needs to learn fear. This man he has no fear in his heart. He sees those Widow Mines, he sees those Ravens, and he's like, no, yes, they're a hard counter to my unit. I do not care. I am Barcode. I fear no man. And the Walrus, not to be intimidated, goes back to building up the turtle-style rock that he's been constructing so far. Unfortunately, his siege tanks are not nearly as there's plentiful as they have been. So I don't know. The Barcode did remax on Mutalisks, but it might be time for another tech switch. If he switches back over to roaches, maybe, you know, a little bit of unit control, bait out a handful of those Widowmine shots, not making those Widowmines shoot down on top of the Mutalisks. But if he switches back over to roaches, he probably would be able to strong arm his way into the base once again, and then those roaches not going to be as delicate, not going to be as fragile against these Widowmines, and probably just going to be robust enough to actually break down the door. However, this commitment to all of these mutas, even though they've been incredibly cost effective, look at all that splash damage just absolutely chewing up those Mutalisks, and the Widowmines just desperately trying to get underfoot, trying to get off one or two volleys on top of these Mutalisks, because if they get one more, I mean, look at that. Oh, it's so brutal. It's so brutal because, man, Barcode has every base on this mass with the exception of like 5. How is he not brutally crushing the Walrus? How is he not remaxed? How does he not have a massive bank? Well, he's just been blowing through his Mutas after Mutas. Oh man, I don't know. I do not know. I did not think that this playstyle was possible. I think in like Legacy of the Void, this would actually be incredibly viable, just because maps do become mined out very, very quickly. So if you can, you know, set up a location, make it so that there's only a handful of choke points that you actually have to defend, potentially you can make it so your opponent gets mined out, even though he's got every other base on the map, gets mined out, breaking his back against your walls, kind of like a Helm's Deep scenario. And with all of these Widowmines here, there's really no cost-effective way that Barcode can break down the Walrus's front door. And then Ravens are one of the most cost-effective units in the game. And I mean, look at all this energy they have. He's going to be able to throw down. He's going to be able to start throwing down the auto turrets. And those auto turrets just make mincemeat out of expansions unless you have a ridiculous amount of static defenses of your own back at home. I mean, spine crawlers do a pretty good job of dealing with them, but again, there's nothing as cost effective as a free unit. So maybe locusts, I don't know. The mutas are going to be swinging in here on the right side of the natural, but there's really not a lot of minerals left here, only just a handful of missile turrets. So yes, this is probably going to go down, but where are the Ravens? Those Ravens could come in here, could throw down a bunch of Hunter-Seeker missiles, and there goes one. But again, unless he has several volleys down on top of these Mutalisks, there's not a lot that the Walrus can expect to do. He needs more AoE. Oh my goodness. Retreat. Oh, Lord. He's got no fear. He's got no fear. And he needs fear. This is like the child continually grabbing the cast iron skillet off the stove. Ow, it's hot. I keep burning myself. Why? Maybe if I do it again, this time I'll understand. And he builds 30 more Mutalisks. No, stop it. Barcode, I love you so much. Don't hurt yourself. And the Walrus, at this point, it feels like the Walrus is building up momentum for his own push. He's gone from 100 supply against 200 to two max supplies. Right? You got 200 over 200, 194 over 200, and these Ravens are just going to be incredibly cost effective. However, the Ravens are significantly slower than the Mutalisks. So if the Ravens decide to move out, they're going to have to throw down a huge field of auto turrets just all of a sudden, or he's going to need to have the Widowmines in position to actually support him and actually, at a drop of a hat, burrow and make it so that the volley from the Widowmines actually goes off and protects the Ravens. I was just imagining a scenario where he burrows all of these Widowmines, and Barcode does not fear the Widowmines, so he goes in there anyway, and then just everything dies because the splash damage also affects the Ravens, and that would be catastrophic for both players, but probably more catastrophic for the Walrus, who has almost completely run out of his bank. I mean, look at this. He's almost completely broke. 150 over 800 for the gas. And Barcode is remaxed. He's remaking his bank right now. Even moving in his overseers as a way of sacrificing them in the vain attempt of drawing out the explosions from the Widowmines. Actually succeeding pretty handily, keeping these Mutalisks in pretty good health, because hey, you know what, those overseers do have more health than the Mutalisks, and they're significantly more expendable. Yamato cannon, I don't know. Battle Cruiser is probably not the best choice against the Mutalisks, but I think this might be the Walrus realizing that eventually he's not going to have enough gas to continually remax on these Mutalisks. I don't know what he's waiting for. He's got he's maxed once again, but I didn't know what he was waiting for initially. So, what is he waiting for this time? I'm not 100% sure. Oh man. But every second he waits, the max, the bank is being reconstructed. The bank is being reformed. Eventually, Barcode's going to get to the point where he can continually remax with Mutalisks once again. And really, the limiting factor is his gas, and he is doing exactly what I was saying, only having minimal saturation. I snapped to 3 different bases that are fully saturated on the mineral line, but only having mineral saturation in the bases that actually have gas. Oh my goodness, is he almost completely mined out with gas? All right, so that's 1, that's 2. 3, 4. How about this guy? 5. Okay, so five bases still capable of mining gas. I wonder if any of them are starting to run low. Probably this guy's starting to run low. Yeah, 700. So about halfway there. That's not the worst thing in the world. Still, 5 base economy is not bad at all. I mean, look at the gas income, 1,000 a minute. Not bad at all. Oh my goodness, the Mutalisks have to be so very careful. Point defense drone, a plethora of... Oh, one of them does succeed in actually launching, but that's not enough to take down this ball. A nice scan here. Scans going down from the Walrus to make it so that the Hellseeker missiles, what are they called? Hellfire? Seeker missiles. Okay, whatever. The Seeker missiles actually have enough vision to stay locked on to those Mutalisks, make it so that they don't lose them into the fog of war, and also to keep count to see if he actually did succeed in taking down those Mutalisks. So a good play there from the Walrus. A good play. But again, Barcode has a massive bank. He's capable of remaxing. Oh my goodness, we finally have the Titan moving. But where is he moving to? I mean, the creep spread has been pretty much immaculate. The only area that's not currently inhabited by creep is just to the north side of this northmost base from the Walrus. Oh, I guess right here only just now got saturated by a hatchery. However, the Walrus does have detection. He's got Thors down here. He's going to be able to take down those creep tumors, and we can see that that is starting to withdraw. On the same time of things, Barcode is going to be sacking this worthless base. The static defenses here are going to be paying for their lives, just doing a little bit of damage to those Mutalisks, a little chip damage, but with so many Mutalisks, they're going to be regenerating back up into max health at just a drop of a hat. On the other side of things, the Walrus is engaging, successfully so, with his SCV warriors, as well as those battle cruisers. Now I can see why he would want them. I mean, they're very, very powerful against anything on the ground, including buildings, and he's just going to start the mop up right now. However, this could be easily a base race scenario, and in a base race scenario, undoubtedly, Barcode wins. All he needs to do is make sure he doesn't fly directly into a Widowmine fortress, and then just allow Terran to pick apart his structures one at a time. And I think the Walrus knows, because he is retreating at least just with his Ravens. Remember, those Ravens are too slow, and if the Mutalisks run in, draw a handful of those Seeker missiles, and then immediately retreat, and then return to once again draw that fire, there goes the handful of Seeker missiles. He needs to retreat immediately, because if only 2 or 3 of them actually make their way into the ball of Mutas, the Mutaball, then he could lose an absolutely massive force. But right now, this is a very cat and mouse kind of game. The Ravens do not want to go too far away from their own point defense drones, and they also don't have the Widowmine ball that was defending them a short time ago. We do see 6 Widowmines over here by the static defense fortress. I wonder if that's going to draw them in. Okay, the Overseers do come in, draw 1, 2, 3. The majority of the Widowmines do discharge. However, if the Mutalisks in the area do not... Oh no, I missed it! Hunter Seeker missiles coming in from the left side. A handful of Ravens that were left behind did indeed drop just enough Seeker missiles to actually take down the majority of that force. We can see 23 Mutalisks right now on the middle of the field, and that's enough to get mopped up by these Ravens. If they want to come in and just throw down a handful of autocannons, even autocannons alone will be enough to take them down. I used to see Angry Kittens do a bunch of autocannons. The Thors on the ground throwing up their volleys. These Mutalisks are going to get cleaned up, and I don't know. Barcode has enough to remax. Again, I think it'd be a mistake to remax on Mutalisks. They've definitely served their purpose. They've done a fantastic job. And at this point, maybe it is worth getting out those Mutalisks as long as he starts using them correctly, not engaging this massive death ball, instead coming over here and actually taking down the infrastructure that's causing him so much problems, specifically these factories. How many factories does he have? He's built all of this on just 3 factories. That is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The mining base for the Walrus is going to be heavily sieged upon by all of these Mutalisks, but it looks like they are going to get cleaned up Still enough of a bank for one more remax, but Barcode is significantly in trouble right now. I mean, these three bases that were mining gas have been cleaned up, so now we're only down to 1 or 2 bases. That one's done. Just 2 bases producing gas, and we can see that only an income of 700. That's not enough to continually churn out mutalisks. 24 mutas on the production tab right now. I feel like this hour-long game is almost done. Thank the Lord. I did this without tea. I did not look at the time of how long this game was, and my voice is absolutely ruined. Absolutely ruined. That's okay, though. Something else that's totally ruined are these battle cruisers. They are going to go down. Like I said, not the most cost-effective unit in the world against these mutalisks. However, very, very powerful against the ground, which is what they were made for. They were made to take down those hatcheries, made to expedite the process of cleaning the opponent, just in case that's how far this game would go. Look at that. No gas at all. Plenty of minerals, though. Plenty of minerals back at home. I wonder if Barcode is going to be churning out a couple of Zerglings to support them. Maybe go for a run by. It's a planetary fortress surrounded by a bunch of Widow Mines. What's the worst that could happen? What is the worst that could happen? These mutalisks are going to be swinging in here, once again attempting to deny this base. However, the death ball from the Walrus sweeps in from the north side. Look at this supply difference, but it doesn't feel like there's that big of a supply difference because every unit that is in here is a hard counter to all those mutalisks. We have the Thors, we've got even the Ravens with their Seeker missiles. I keep saying Hunter Seeker missiles. With their Seeker missiles are very, very cost effective against those Ravens, as long as you can pick and choose exactly when the engagement's going to be taking place. Another just painful volley from the Thors. The Walrus is just trying to keep 1 or 2 mining bases at a given time. I'm surprised he hasn't lifted off his structures and moved them over here. Okay, there's some more factories. Absolutely fantastic. I guess they were just made, though, just now being constructed, throwing out a lot of tech labs. I wonder if he's just going to be remaxing on a bunch of Thors, because they are very, very cost effective. I don't think he's got the gas for it, but then why is he getting a factory? A tech lab? Surely not siege tanks. Maybe siege tanks. I don't know. I do not know. Needs to burrow those Widow Mines, though. And then, again, these mutalisks just need to swing in here. Start doing damage into this area. Take out the infrastructure as much as you can. Slowly whittle down your opponent until it's only in a given area at a given time. Make it so you very closely contain your opponent. The Walrus is spread like a cancer, and Barcode has definitely lost control of the whole southern portion of this map. I don't know if you remember at the start of this map how I said you could divide up the map into the top and the bottom, or even the different quarters. I was not expecting the Walrus to take just the bottom left and allow Barcode to take everything, everything else. However, the Walrus now has slowly spread to take over the entire bottom portion of this map, and those were the ones that still have gas because Barcode wasn't using those areas to the maximum of his ability. All the bases have gone down. This one's not even tapped. These guys are pretty much pristine, untouched. And that gas income is exactly what Barcode needs to get back into this game. Another massive volley down on top of those. I'm going to switch away from the production tab over to the units so we can keep an eye on how many mutalisks there are out on the field right now. 35 with the 3 Thors underneath, 17 Ravens. Ooh, absolutely brutal. What were those factories for? Okay, good. They were for Thors. Fantastic. I'm not insane. Lot of mutalisks, even trying to grab the gas here because this is beginning to get completely mined out. It looks like that base is done. That base is totally done. This one just now being tapped. I didn't think about that. It is awfully ballsy for him to move so close to the Walrus's old base, but it is an old base. It has been completely cleaned up. Very much derelict now. So, my goodness. I would not fly into that. I just would let it expire because all those guys are on times. And, this space is far more important, but you have to be super careful of those Widow Mines. Hard part about that is the aggro is going to be drawn from the missile turrets and not these Widow Mines, so you're going to have to very carefully control them, and you only have a very short period of time to actually click on them. Yeah, the mutalisks, you only need about 9 of them to one-shot these Widow Mines, but with so many Widow Mines, so many tightly packed together, the Overseers have to get within range to give you vision, and then you have to micro successfully to get all of them down. Even attacking at the best angle, you still have to take 2 or 3 of them down. I would expect to take massive losses if I tried to crack that base, and unfortunately that's the position that the Barcode is in because he's got no gas at all. He can't afford to throw away these mutas, but there's really no way to engage this force successfully without throwing away your units. So at 1 hour and 1 minute, I cannot wait for Barcode to actually be fed up and actually engage because he's slowly dying a painful death. I guess he could wait for the Walrus to be completely mined out and then maybe go for like maybe a truce. Maybe they could live together in harmony. But I do not see this coming out in the favor of Barcode, even though that the supplies are just barely in the favor for the Walrus. We've seen that the Walrus is like a cockroach. He's incredibly, oh no, flying towards the Raven instead of away from it, and the Seeker Missile does in fact engage. Oh, good unit control from the Barcodes. I'm surprised. He was painted red. He's the one who flew over to the right. However, the Seeker Missile still flew into the main pack. I don't know if there were 2 Seeker Missiles at the same time. Not 100% sure. This base is being taken by the Orbital Command. We can see that the Widow Mines off to the north side just kind of setting a trap, hoping that the Mutalisks do take the engagement. Finally, Barcode doing what I was begging him to do a long time ago, which is actually engage the infrastructure. Does the Walrus take that as an opportunity? Oh, where's his force? Okay, here it is. Here's his force. Oh my goodness, he cannot engage into this either. So many Thors, even with the bestest magic box in the world, isn't going to be able to actually take care of them. And with these Ravens just begging for him to turn around and engage at any given time, the Seeker Missiles can fly out and absolutely decimate this. But this is exactly what he needed to do, which was to, engage just for a couple of seconds, wait for the... Oh no. Does he get away? No, he doesn't get away. Good Lord. Oh, he can build 7 more, I guess. But even then, that wasn't all the money that wasn't all the energy that those Ravens had. There goes a lot more Seeker Missiles. But wow, the splash damage actually taking down the majority of the Ravens in the air. There is enough Ravens still in the air to throw down plenty of autocannons, enough to take down this entire base. And we can see the Remax has begun. 120 Zerglings, 4 Ultralisks on the production tab. That's all the gas that Barcode actually has. Is that going to be enough to break this? I don't know. He's going to have to be just as careful as he was with the Mutalisks as he is with the Zerglings to deal, to dance around all those Widow Mines. Oh no, where is he going to engage? Okay, it looks like he's going to be engaging in this base. A handful of Widow Mines are in this area. The Planetary Fortress obviously very cost effective against them, but if anybody can throw away mineral heavy units, it's definitely Barcode. So Barcode is going to be starting to do that. Remember though, the air units are going to be a bit of a trouble. Those Seeker Missiles are very, very good at taking down Ultralisks as well, and you can throw down those autocannons, and they're just free units. They're just free energy. And so as long as he's whittling down the gas-intensive units, specifically the Ultralisks, he can throw Zerglings at him all day long. He's got plenty of Hellbats. He's got plenty of Hellions. He's got plenty of Thors on the ground. He's going to be able to take care of this no problem at all. 180 over 88 for the supply. I guess Barcode fell behind with the macro. No, he didn't. Look at all that larva being made into Zerglings. No problem at all. Okay, here comes the rage. Finally. Oh, good Lord. Barcode leaving. Please, for the love of God, leave. An hour and 6 minutes. I did not know what I was signing up for. I imagine how they feel, though. I mean, like, the average ladder game is, what, 20 minutes? 16 minutes? Something like that? And sitting there actually playing, like, an hour-long game is exhausting. Especially whenever you have this many bases to actually deal with. I guess maybe the Walrus's playstyle isn't as micro-intensive. However, I can assure you that as the game progressed, as he started to micro down those Widow Mines, as he had to throw down those Seeker Missiles, he definitely, I'm sure, kind of picked up the pace, worked up a bit of a sweat. Here comes the last push, though. I mean, this is really not going to be very effective. Getting a really nice surround, though. Definitely doing as much damage as possible, but even the Ultralisks, even with the 3/3 upgrades, barely going to be breaking down all of the Hellions. Not enough to crack the hard nut that is the Thors. And with that, I think no, 142 more, 142 more Zerglings. It looks like Barcode is just as tenacious as the Walrus. So we'll be seeing one more engagement. I mean, this game could go on for another 30 minutes just because of the Walrus having to move so very slowly to actually take down all of these bases. And with so many Zerglings out on the field, he's doing a good job of taking down the Hellions. But no, more Hellions swinging in from the south side, and it looks like maybe all the Thors are going to go down, but more Hellions, and it's Terran, so they're going to be able to remax very, very quickly on all of these mineral-rich units like these Hellbats. Not so much with the Thors. Again, they're just gas-starved too, but he's got a hell of a bank. Oh my goodness. Good Lord, another 100 Zerglings on the field. This is obnoxious. This is absolutely obnoxious. I wonder if you'll forgive me if I times 2 it, just to find out when the actual game ins because, good lord, this is obnoxious. 90 over 180 supply. I have a feeling the Barcode is staying in this game strictly because of the bitter salt that he's pouring on his own wounds. Another fresh swell of Zerglings. Remember, these guys are 3/3 Zerglings with adrenal upgrades, and we can just see that the Hellbats, even though they don't have the Infernal Pre-Igniter, is just doing work on them. At this point, the Walrus just needs to start mineral mining so that he can get out those heavy tech units like that. We have the battle cruisers on the production tab. We do have more starports being made back at home because remember, the majority of the starports, the majority of the infrastructure was actually taken out successfully by the Mutalisks. So eventually this game is going to get done. A really nice play here, positioning all of his Hellbats in the choke point, making it so that the Zerglings do not succeed in actually getting a surround on them. However, even now, I have a feeling like these Zerglings could probably go for some sort of a base race. The majority of the Widow Mines are done. You know, they haven't been remade. And it looks like those Zerglings are going to be trying for a run by. Oh no, but the Hellbats, Hellbats are in the area to actually take care of them. I forgot about this sensor tower. Definitely seeing that run by was actually taking place. I think he forgot about the sensor towers too. That's too funny. Okay. I mean, he's been raging for a solid 20 minutes now. I feel strongly like this game is done. Thank you. Oh man, I was about to say I apologize immensely, but I'm gonna call it right here and there because an hour and 12 minutes is ridiculously 13 minutes, 0.4, whatever. It was ridiculously long. I do not want to critique this game. This game was disgusting. The Walrus did a really good job of being defensive, and Barcode did a fantastic job of switching up to the Mutalisks. I thought like that was a great play. I feel like he really wanted to win the game based off of his harassment, and so he was using these harassment units, these Mutalisks, to not harass, to engage directly, and that was the wrong play. He should have, with that critical mass of Mutas, you don't have to go for the mineral line, you can actually go for the structures. Take down all those starports, swing in here, take down all the factories that are there. All of a sudden, the Walrus is crippled because he can't continually produce those Widow Mines, he can't continually produce those Ravens, and can't approach that critical mass where he can actually deal with your force head on. So I feel like Barcode kind of misplayed it insofar as unit control, but not so far as his decision making. I feel like his decision making was pretty good. I feel like my decision making was terrible because I decided to cast this game. My throat hurts so much. Oh my goodness. It was a great game though. Thank you so much for actually watching it. I doubt sincerely anybody's going to watch this all the way through. I wouldn't. Regardless, thank you for the Walrus for actually posting this to cast it. And if you guys have a game you want me to cast, you can PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. Bye.